Hey guys, BJ at Basil's Truck and Camper here in Montgomery, Alabama. Let's take a look at a 7x16 rock solid cargo, and I'll give you some tips on what you need to be looking for in the construction of your next cargo trailer. All right, taking a look at a rock solid cargo 7x16 tandem axle cargo trailer. In my opinion, one of the best on the market. That's why we sell this brand. One of the best available to us down here in the Southeast. So first thing you're going to see on all of your cargo trailers nowadays is going to be a tube tongue. Been doing this for a long time, but it is something you still need to make sure and check that this trailer has. Is going to be that tube tongue. This is a 6-inch tube tongue. Okay, you will have some manufacturers that will try to do a 7x16 cargo trailer with a 4-inch frame. So make sure they're building this trailer with a 6-inch tube tongue and not a 4-inch. How these cross members are run on these trailers is going to be the height of the frame. So if your frame is only 4-inch, you're actually going to have 3-inch cross members. So you're also going to have shorter cross members. They're going to want to buckle and twist on you because they just don't have the height to support the weight of what you're typically putting in these 7x16 trailers. As you can see, this one has stone guard. They all have stone guards. One thing that we do that I think is pretty imperative nowadays is that we also have a bar lock installed in addition to the RV flush lock side door. This is added security for the lock so somebody can't come and pry these doors open. It does also cover up the latch so that if you have your latch locked and not the deadbolt along with it, then somebody can't come in and pry this latch lock because you also have the security of the bar lock on top of that. So another feature, most of your reputable brands are going to do this, but not all of them. You have seems like a new cargo manufacturer pop up every week nowadays. It's going to be the 16-inch spacing on the floor. So a really easy way to tell this is on one sheet of plywood, you will have 4 sets of screws. So we have 1 at the seam, 2 in the field, and another one at the seam. Okay, so you should have 4 rows of screws on 1 sheet of plywood. If you only have 3 rows, that is 24-inch spacing, and those plywood sheets are going to buckle under time with the weight that you're going to put on here. For us in particular, we sell to a lot of contractors, landscapers, so we have a lot of guys rolling around with lawnmowers in here, and that 24-inch spacing would be absolutely useless. It's not enough support for the sheets of plywood. Your tires are almost always certainly going to land in between 2 of the cross members, and the weight of the lawnmower wheels are going to buckle that plywood, and it will also cause your cross members to buckle and want to twist. That's another reason why you want to have 6-inch frame. On a 6-inch frame, you have 5-inch cross members. They don't go quite top to bottom, but pretty close. So 6-inch frame is 5-inch cross members. Helps resist that twist and buckle that we were talking about. On a 4-inch frame, you've got 3-inch cross members. So there's a pretty big difference there. So just be aware of what you're buying. Something else, sorry, it might be a little dark. I'm gonna do it right here by the door. 16-inch centers on the walls. It's kind of an old school thing to have 24, but as I say, there's a new trailer manufacturer every day. And if there's a significant difference in price, there's a reason why. So 16-inch center on the wall post as well. And you should have tubular wall post. So sometimes you can see if the manufacturer will hold their trim down from that bottom angle. You can see in here and see that this is a tubular wall post. Double check that when you're looking at trailers, or if you're looking at them online. Get them to send you pictures, or get them to get the specs to you, and make sure that you have an all tube 6-inch steel frame 16-inch centers on the floor, 16-inch centers on the walls, a wall post or tube as well. Now your tube posts are going to be 24-inch center. They're not load bearing, just to help reinforce the trailer. So 24-inch spacing is going to be fine on that, but again, I would check and make sure that it's 24. I've not seen anybody doing any kind of other crazy spacing on that, but it never hurts to double check. This 7x16 right here, something to check and something to consider. This one is 6'6" on the interior height. So I do that on a lot of my double axle trailers, because your double axles, with the size of them and what they're typically used for, you're a lot more likely to be in and out of this trailer, walking in and out, getting tools. If you're a contractor, landscaper, whatever you're doing, you're going to be in and out of this trailer a lot. So a 6'6" interior height. And you might think, well, I'm not 6 foot, I'm not 6'2", I'm not 6'4", whatever. But you have to consider that rear header is 6 inches. All these rear headers on these cargo trailers are 6 inches. So that rear opening is actually only 6 feet. So that makes it a lot more comfortable to walk in and out of this door. So if it's 6'3" interior height standard, that's only 5'7" on the rear door opening. So you have to duck fairly significantly to get out of that shorter door. So even though you may not necessarily feel like you need the height on the inside, consider that door opening on your ramp door entryway, that it's only going to be 6 foot. And definitely consider that for your equipment as well. Some of these guys have mowers, some of them still run the emergency bars on them, so they've got clearance on that. Or if you're going to be using it for moving, getting stuff in and out of it, so you can make it a little more convenient on yourself to consider the height also. So something else you're going to want to look at on these walls also, make sure they are 3/8 plywood at a minimum. So you'll see some dealers, they don't necessarily advertise the specs on most of the trailer. They just got a trailer listed with the bare minimum information. So they might not necessarily elaborate that the trailer only has 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch Luan instead of the 3/8 plywood. And one of the thing too right here, while we're talking about walls, make sure that they're screwed in. We have seen a couple of crazy manufacturers where we have needed to replace a wall panel on the inside, and it had a weird twisted shank nail. It still had a Phillips head, because you're supposed to be able to twist the shanks out apparently, but a little bit smaller head than this. It just looks like a nail head with a Phillips stamped into the back of it. So make sure that they're actually screwed in. I know that sounds crazy, but you'll appreciate that at some point later on down the road. So one more thing on the inside here real quick, and I'll have to get you some light. I've only seen one other manufacturer other than Rock Solid do this. So this plate right here, this little plate acts as a gusset. So as I mentioned, these trailers are going to move. You really just can't build these trailers heavy enough to where they are not going to have some sort of movement as you're driving down the road. They're not tanks. They can't be built as heavy as tanks, or else you're just not going to be able to pull them and have any sort of payload worth having. So that little gusset is going to do a whole lot for you and strengthening up these rear corners to try to make sure that these rear corners don't break apart. So if you're looking at a new trailer, that would be definitely something that I would be looking for, to see if it's got the gusset. I've only seen one other brand do it, and Rock Solid does it. But I've seen lots and lots and lots of trailers. And if you guys are looking at used trailers, nothing wrong with a used trailer. You can get good deals on used trailers, but check these rear corners. Make sure the well's not cracked here or cracked here on the frame if it doesn't have the gusset. and it will also be cracked horizontally if there's something wrong. Another telltale sign is you can actually just stand outside the trailer, push on this rear corner sideways, and see if the trailer wall independently is moving versus the entire trailer rocking. There is another upgrade that you can do. I've got a couple of customers that I do it for because they just haul heavy weight and they load these trailers front to back all the way to the very rear door with cases. Is we upgrade these rear corners to a tube rear corner. So that is an option, but you do have to plan ahead when you need a trailer built that way. Not going to be a standard stock trailer. Most people don't want that added expense to what they think they need is just a standard trailer. So you're not going to find that as a stock trailer somewhere. To be able to buy that, but it is definitely an option. You can go tube rear corners. You can also go tube cross members too. You can do a 2x4 tube cross member on these trailers. So if you need to load up that spacing, 2x4 tube cross members on 12-inch centers is actually what I do for that same customer that we did the tube rear end is what we call it. But it gives you a tube rear end, tube header, upper and lower, and then tube corners. Really strengthens this trailer up a lot as it goes down the road. And then 2x4 tube cross members on the floor, 12 inches on center, because they're going to have the entire trailer loaded. Every inch of floor space is going to be occupied front to back with cases. So that's something that we've been doing for a lot of years now. We've learned what specs are required depending on what people are doing with the trailer, and come up with a custom build. But like I said, you do have to plan ahead. It's not something that you're going to find on the yard. So when you start thinking about possibly needing a trailer, think about what you're going to be using that trailer for, and whether or not you're going to be able to find those specs, or if you need to special order one. Most of the time, a special order doesn't incur any what I would call special order cost. Some people think the term special order just throws it to an astronomical cost just because we have to place an order for the trailer versus selling one here. It's not the case. Trailers priced the same way. The only add-on is whatever specs you need. So there's not any kind of astronomical pricing to it. We can spec the trailer out however you need, and make sure we get a trailer that's going to work for you and last as long as possible. So let's get back to it. I'll show you a couple other things that you need to be looking out for. All right, one other thing to check on and be sure of is going to be that it has brakes on both axles. All of your reputable trailer brands are doing brakes on both axles standard. Right off the bat, if it's a double axle trailer, they put brakes on it and they put brakes on both. But just double check, make sure that when you look through here, you're not going to have very good visibility through that wheel because of the brake drum on the back side of it. So make sure you see a brake drum, and you can't just see right through these holes of the wheel. If you look through there and you just see ground, then you definitely have idler hubs, and you're definitely getting cheated on the quality of your trailer. So make sure you got brakes on both axles. Make sure you have a tube frame underneath. You should be able to check that really easy by sticking your head under there or reaching up under there and checking this in. And make sure you got proper lighting on the back. One thing we've been doing on several of our trailers the last few years with these rock solid cargo trailers is changing out and putting dual LED tail lights on here. So if you have one light, even though they are LED, they're very reliable. But if for some reason one goes out on that side, you still have the other tail light on that side for brake and turn, for visibility, so the people behind you know what you got going on. All right, something else to look for, quality-wise, or spec-wise, there's going to be the proper number of hinges. I've seen some 7-foot wide trailers come in that we've done some work on, and they only have 2 hinges on a 7x16 door. On a 7-foot wide door, it's not enough. 3 would be the minimum. On the heavier duty doors, they will do 4. On the standard duty doors, you should see at least 3. Let's talk about something that doesn't necessarily seem like a very big deal, but to me it is, because we do service. I don't just sell trailers, I service them, repair them, any brand, any and all brands, so I see them all. So we've seen what works, what doesn't work. So the screw spacing on a trailer. Now, a lot of people kind of look at me funny when I start talking about that, but it does make a big deal. All these things add up. When you talk about having a 6-inch frame, 5-inch cross members on 16-inch center, tubular wall posts on 16-inch center, the screw spacing, all these things add up to be a very major deal. Especially the bigger trailer you get, the more of a factor it's going to be, and the quicker you're going to see these things fail. So on the skin of your trailer, a lot of guys like the semi-screwless. They try to go completely screwless, but the problem is when you have these 2 layers of skin trying to bond one on top of the other, it really just doesn't work out very well as these trailers move going down the road, and they are going to move going down the road. If you built these things where they didn't move going down the road, you'd be hauling an 8,000 pound trailer with a 7,000 pound, gross vehicle weight rating. So there's a fine line between how heavy you can build these things and still be able to tow it with a reasonable amount of payload. But you should see a 5-inch screw spacing. If you look at a trailer and it's got the tighter screw spacing on the seam, and this is a seam right here, okay, but you've got over 8-inch gap screw spacing, they're cheating, and they're trying to save money and time spitting these trailers out the end of the line, and they're skipping every other row of screws. And what's going to happen is, and y'all can do your research on this, you probably find some answers pretty quick. The front driver's side piece of skin will be the first skin to start to crack and buckle and start to break and crack apart, and eventually get pulled off the trailer if you don't take care of it quick enough. And as air gets in between the crack, and it's going to yank that skin off of there. But the driver's side front piece of skin will be the first sheet to go. Okay? If you do not have the proper number of screws holding this aluminum skin on, holding it tight to the frame of the trailer, it will crack and buckle, because the skin and the plywood sheathing on the inside, it's just like a house. You got your siding sheathing on the outside, you got your sheetrock on the inside. Makes a big difference on the strength of that house. Trailer's built the same way, the skin on the outside and the plywood on the inside, okay? Something else that you might want to look for in a trailer, on these seams, try to get it where you can see it. You see this line right here that's reflecting, okay? That's not a blemish, this isn't a damaged piece of skin. They have actually intentionally put a break right here. So what that does is it acts like a lock washer. So it puts tension pushing back on this screw head, so that where you have multiple layers of skin, it helps hold these screws in place, okay? Lots of vibration as you're pulling these trailers down the road. You will have to check your screws periodically. People act like it's the end of the world when they come out. Unfortunately, it's not, okay? So you will have to check your screws, but by them putting this brake right here, they're putting a lock washer on every single one of these screws without having to have the, physically have that there. That's the easiest way to do that. A lot of guys like the semi-screwless. I'm kind of back and forth on it. As far as replacing these sheets on these trailers, it's of course much easier to do it with the screw skin versus the bonded skin. The semi-screwless you have from Rock Solid, the only way you're going to get it is screwed seams, because bonding multiple layers on this is a bad idea. It doesn't work. And then you're going to have screwless in between on the in-between post. So I'm kind of on the fence about that. The screws are technically heavier duty as this trailer moves down the road. You could potentially have skin delaminate, especially depending on the brand of the trailer and the quality of how the trailer is built. If it's not built heavy enough and you end up with all of the specs on the other end of the spectrum, like a 4-inch frame, 24-inch centers, so that trailer is definitely going to flex and move a lot more. So what you're going to end up with is skin that's going to delaminate a lot quicker than built with the heavier specs. So I'm kind of on the fence about the whole semi-screwless. We've generally just stocked screwed skin. It's heavier duty for us and the type of guys we're selling trailers to. And it's just a whole lot easier and less expensive to replace skin if they get damaged or you get in an accident, or accidents happen. Stuff happens on job sites and out on the road. So if the skin has to be replaced, you might want to consider whether or not a skin has laminated or screwed on. So those are my tips for what to consider, things to consider when you're buying a cargo trailer. If you have anything else you'd like to know, comment below. I try to monitor this as closely as possible. Comment any questions below. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're looking for a cargo trailer, want to check us out, it's basilstc.com, or check us out on Facebook, Basil's Truck and Camper.